First contact and impending doom. The star-filled void of space erupted in a brilliant flash of light. Commander Sarah Chen squinted at the main view screen of the ISS Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space vessel. Her crew of seasoned astronauts and scientists held their breath as an alien ship materialized before them. First contact, Sarah whispered, her heart pounding. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. The alien vessel was unlike anything they had ever seen. Organic curves blended seamlessly with crystalline structures that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. It dwarfed the horizon, which suddenly felt small and primitive in comparison. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the International Spaceship Horizon. We come in peace and welcome you to our solar system." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then, a series of musical tones filled the bridge, resolving into words through their universal translator. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Tsar Quinn. We come seeking refuge and to warn you of a great danger that threatens all sentient life." Sarah exchanged glances with her second-in-command, Dr. Amit Patel. This was not the scenario they had prepared for. "We're listening," she replied. "How can we assist you?" The alien ship's response chilled her to the bone. A cosmic horror beyond imagination consumes entire star systems. It has already devoured half our galaxy. We fled here to the edge of known space, hoping to find allies. You may be our last hope. Over the next few hours, the Tsar Quinn shared their terrifying story. A force they called the Void had appeared at the galactic core, spreading outward at an alarming rate. It defied the laws of physics, consuming matter and energy alike, leaving only darkness in its wake. Countless civilizations had already fallen, and the Tsar Quinn's mighty empire was reduced to a handful of refugee ships. As the Horizon raced back to Earth with its momentous news, Sarah struggled to process the implications. Humanity had barely taken its first steps into space, and now they faced an existential threat on a cosmic scale. The news of first contact and the impending danger spread like wildfire across the globe. Governments convened emergency sessions, religious leaders sought meaning in ancient texts, and ordinary citizens oscillated between wonder and terror. In a secure underground facility, Sarah stood before the United Earth Council, a hastily assembled group of world leaders and top scientists. She had just finished briefing them on everything the Tsar Quinn had shared. "This is preposterous," the Russian president scoffed. "How can we trust these aliens? This could be an elaborate ruse to conquer us." "With all due respect, Mr. President," Sarah countered, "I've seen the fear in their eyes, or rather, their sensory organs. They're not conquerors. They're refugees fleeing annihilation." Dr. Emma Rossi, a renowned astrophysicist, spoke up. "Commander Chen is right. Our long-range telescopes have confirmed unusual activity at the galactic core. Something is definitely happening out there." The room erupted into heated debate. Some argued for immediate military mobilization, others for attempting to negotiate with the Void, and a few even suggested simply trying to hide from the threat. As the arguments raged, Sarah caught the eye of General Marcus Williams, a grizzled veteran known for his unconventional thinking. He gave her a subtle nod, and she knew they were on the same wavelength. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah's voice cut through the chaos, "we can debate all day, but the fact remains. This threat is real, it's coming, and we need to act. The Tsar Quinn have technology far beyond ours. If they couldn't stop this thing, what chance do we have cowering on Earth?" She took a deep breath and continued, "I propose a joint mission. We take our best and brightest, combine them with Tsar Quinn knowledge, and send an expedition to the edge of the galaxy. We need to understand this threat if we have any hope of stopping it." The room fell silent as her words sank in. It was General Williams who broke the silence. "I agree with Commander Chen. We didn't get to the moon by playing it safe. Humanity's greatest achievements have always come from taking bold risks. Over the next few days, as panic and conspiracy theories spread among the public, a plan took shape behind closed doors. The ISS Horizon would be retrofitted with Zarquin technology, creating a hybrid vessel capable of crossing vast distances of space. A hand-picked crew of Earth's finest would join with Zarquin experts on a mission to investigate, and, if possible, stop the void. As preparations reached a fever pitch, Sarah found herself in her quarters aboard the space station, staring out at the blue marble of Earth. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders. How could she ask her crew to embark on what might well be a suicide mission? A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. It was Dr. Patel, his usually cheerful face etched with concern. "Sarah, the final crew manifest is ready for your approval." She took the tablet from him, scrolling through the names and specialties. Each one represented the pinnacle of human achievement in their field. "Are you sure you want to do this? Aim it. There's no guarantee we'll ever make it back." Amit's expression softened. "Where else would I be? This is the greatest scientific endeavor in human history. Besides," he added with a wry smile, "someone has to keep you from doing anything too reckless out there." Sarah felt a lump in her throat. This was why she had fought so hard for this mission. It wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about proving what humanity was capable of when pushed to its limits. As the day of launch approached, a somber mood fell over the planet. People gathered in churches, mosques, and temples, praying for the success of the mission. Others took to the streets, some celebrating humanity's great leap forward, others protesting what they saw as a foolish endeavor. Standing on the launch pad, Sarah looked up at the horizon, now a strange fusion of human and Zarquin engineering. Her crew stood behind her, a mix of determination and apprehension on their faces. "I won't lie to you," she said, turning to address them. "This mission is dangerous, perhaps even impossible, but out there, in the depths of space, we carry with us the hopes and dreams of our entire species. Whatever happens, know that you are the best humanity has to offer. Together, we will face this threat and show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of." As they boarded the ship, Sarah took one last look at the Earth, knowing it might be the last time she ever saw it. With a deep breath, she stepped inside, ready to lead humanity into the unknown. The Horizon's engines roared to life, a sound unlike anything heard on Earth before. As the ship lifted off, piercing the atmosphere and accelerating towards the stars, billions watched in awe and fear. Humanity's greatest adventure, and perhaps its final stand, had begun. The unlikely alliance. The ISS Horizon streaked through the cosmos, its hybrid human Zarquin engines propelling it faster than any Earth vessel had ever traveled. Inside, Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, watching unfamiliar stars blur past on the main view screen. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the uncertainty gnawing at her. Dr. Amit Patel looked up from his console, his dark eyes wide with wonder. "We're maintaining speed at 99.9% of light. At this rate, we'll reach the edge of the Milky Way in just under 3 Earth months." Sarah nodded, still marveling at the sheer scale of their journey. A trip that would have taken millennia with human technology alone was now reduced to a matter of weeks, thanks to their unlikely alien allies. "Speaking of which, how are our guests adjusting?" Sarah asked, turning to Dr. Emma Rossi, the team's xenobiologist. Emma's face twisted into a grimace. "It's challenging. The Zarquin physiology is so different from ours. They're struggling with our atmosphere, our gravity. Even our concept of personal space is alien to them." As if on cue, the bridge doors slid open with a hiss, revealing one of their Zarquin passengers. The alien's crystalline carapace shimmered under the ship's lights, its multiple appendages moving in an unsettling, wave-like motion. "Greetings, Commander Chen." The Zarquin's melodic voice resonated through the translator. "I am Xylix, lead scientist of our delegation. May we discuss the trajectory of our mission?" Sarah suppressed a sigh. This was the third such discussion today. The Zarquins' communal decision-making process clashed with the human chain of command, leading to frequent debates over every aspect of their journey. "Of course, Xylix," Sarah replied, gesturing to the conference room. "Dr. Patel, Dr. Rossi, please join us." As they settled around the table, the humans in chairs, Xylix comfortably draped across a specially designed perch, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the surreal nature of their situation. Here they were, representatives of two vastly different species, united by a common threat. "We have concerns," Xylix began, its crystalline structures pulsing with each word. "Your species' approach to this mission seems haphazard. We've traveled far, yet we lack a concrete plan for confronting the void." Sarah leaned forward, her patience wearing thin. "With all due respect, Xylix, we're venturing into unknown territory. Flexibility and adaptability are our greatest strengths. We can't plan for every contingency when we don't even fully understand what we're up against." Xylix's appendages rippled in what Sarah had come to recognize as agitation. "This impulsiveness is precisely what worries us. The void consumed countless civilizations far more advanced than yours. How can you hope to succeed where we failed?" The room fell silent, the weight of the alien's words hanging heavy in the air. It was Amit who finally broke the tension, his voice soft but firm. "Because we have to," he said simply. "Humanity has always thrived when pushed to its limits. We went from our first powered flight to landing on the moon in just 66 years. We've cured diseases, split the atom, and now we're traveling faster than light. We may not have the technology or the experience of your people, Xylix, but we have something just as powerful: hope." Sarah felt a surge of pride at Amit's words. This was why she had chosen him for this mission, his unwavering optimism in the face of impossible odds. Xylix's crystalline structure shimmered, a sign of deep thought. "Your species continues to confound us," it admitted. Perhaps this unpredictability is what's needed to face the void." As the days stretched into weeks, the unlikely alliance between humans and Zarquin began to solidify. Cultural misunderstandings gave way to mutual respect as each species learned from the other. The humans marveled at the Zarquins' advanced scientific knowledge, while the aliens found themselves impressed by humanity's creative problem-solving and adaptability. One particular incident stood out in Sarah's mind. They had encountered an unexpected radiation burst from a nearby pulsar, threatening to fry the ship's delicate systems, while the Zarquin panicked, insisting they needed to shut down and recalibrate. Sarah's engineering team, led by the brilliant and eccentric Dr. Yuki Tanaka, came up with an unorthodox solution. Using a combination of the ship's deflector shields and a hastily repurposed communications array, they created a makeshift electromagnetic bubble that deflected the worst of the radiation. The Zarquin were stunned by the improvisational genius of the solution. "How did you conceive of such an unorthodox approach?" Xylix had asked, its crystalline form vibrating with curiosity. Yuki had simply shrugged, a lopsided grin on her face. "Sometimes you've got to think outside the box, you know. Or in this case, inside a bubble." As they approached the outer reaches of the Milky Way, anticipation and dread built in equal measure. The ship's long-range sensors began picking up disturbing anomalies, entire star systems going dark, spatial distortions that defied known physics. Sarah stood on the bridge, her crew and their Zarquin allies gathered around her. The view screen showed their destination, a system on the very edge of the galaxy, its sun still burning bright amidst a sea of darkness. "This is it," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever we find here could determine the fate of both our species, of all life in the galaxy." As the horizon dropped out of light speed, a collective gasp filled the bridge. The system before them was a graveyard of worlds. Planets hung in space, lifeless and cold, their surfaces scarred by some unimaginable force. But it was what lay beyond the system that truly chilled them to the core. A vast, Roiling darkness stretched as far as their sensors could detect, punctuated by flashes of impossible energies. The void had found them. By the crystalline collective, Xylix breathed, its usual melodic tones replaced by something akin to terror. It's worse than we imagined. Sarah felt the weight of every life depending on them. Human, Zarquin, and countless other species across the galaxy. She straightened her back, steeling herself for what was to come. "All right, people," she said, her voice cutting through the shocked silence. "We didn't come all this way to gawk. Let's figure out what we're dealing with and how to stop it." As the horizon cautiously approached the devastated system, its sensors straining to gather every scrap of data, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Something in that swirling void seemed aware of their presence, calculating, waiting. Little did they know, their arrival had set in motion events that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The true nature of the void, and humanity's role in confronting it, was about to be revealed in a way none of them could have anticipated. Defying the odds. The ISS horizon hung in space at the edge of the devastated star system, a tiny speck of life and hope against the encroaching darkness of the void. Inside, the combined human and Zarquin crew worked feverishly to analyze the flood of data pouring in from their sensors. Commander Sarah Chen paced the bridge, her face set in grim determination. "What do we know so far?" she asked, addressing the room at large. Dr. Emma Rossi looked up from her console, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and scientific fascination. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered," she began. "The void seems to be a region of space where the fundamental laws of physics break down. Matter, energy, even time itself, all of it gets twisted and consumed." Xylix, the lead Zarquin scientist, chimed in, its crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "Our most advanced theoretical models are useless here. It's as if the universe itself is unraveling at the seams." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. How could they hope to fight something that defied the very laws of reality? But she pushed the doubt aside. They had to find a way. "All right," she said, her voice steady. "We need to get closer. Dr. Tanaka, can our shields hold against whatever that is?" Yuki Tanaka, the ship's eccentric chief engineer, frowned at her readings. "Maybe. I can reinforce them with a polarized tachyon field, but it's not exactly something we've tested against cosmic horrors." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "Amit, take us in. Nice and slow." As the horizon inched closer to the writhing edge of the void, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. "Multiple hull breaches," Yuki shouted. "The void it's reaching out to us somehow." Sarah's mind raced. "Everyone to emergency stations. Amit, get us out of here." But as Dr. Patel tried to engage the engines, nothing happened. "We're not moving," he reported, panic edging into his voice. "It's like we're caught in some kind of gravitational well, but 1,000 times stronger." For a moment, Sarah felt a wave of despair wash over her. Had they come all this way just to be consumed by the very thing they sought to stop? Then she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. On the view screen, amidst the roiling darkness, a pattern emerged. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a rhythm, a pulsation within the void itself. "Emma, Xylix," she called out. "Are you seeing this? There's a pattern to it." The human scientist and her alien counterpart huddled over their instruments, confirming Sarah's observation. "It's not random," Emma breathed. "The void, it's not just a force of nature. It's alive." This revelation sent shockwaves through the crew. The void wasn't just some cosmic anomaly. It was a living entity, perhaps the largest and most ancient in the universe. "If it's alive," Sarah mused, "then maybe we can communicate with it." What followed was a frenzy of activity as the combined intellects of humanity and the Zarquin raced against time. They worked to decipher the patterns within the void, to find some way of establishing contact before their ship was torn apart. It was Dr. Tanaka who had the breakthrough. "We can use the ship's deflector array to emit pulses of tachyons in a matching rhythm," she explained, her fingers flying over her console. "It won't be language as we know it, but it might get its attention." As the horizon shuddered around them, systems failing one by one, they put their desperate plan into action. Pulses of energy shot out from the ship, mimicking the rhythm they detected in the void. For several agonizing moments, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the violent assault on their ship ceased. An eerie calm settled over them as the void seemed to pause, as if listening. "It worked," Amit whispered, hardly daring to believe it. But their relief was short-lived. The view screen erupted in a cacophony of swirling energies, coalescing into a form that defied description. Part geometry, part living tissue, wholly alien. A voice, if it could be called that, reverberated through their minds, bypassing their ears entirely. It spoke of aeons of loneliness, of an existence so vast and alien that the concept of individual life was meaningless. The void had consumed countless civilizations not out of malice, but out of a desire to understand, to incorporate their essence into its own. As the crew struggled to comprehend this cosmic entity, Sarah had an epiphany. The void wasn't evil. It was curious, in its own unfathomable way. And curiosity was something humans understood all too well. "We need to show it that there's value in our separate existence," Sarah said, her mind racing. That diversity, individual thought, the interplay between different species and cultures, these are things worth preserving. What followed was perhaps the strangest diplomatic mission in human history. Through a combination of mathematical proofs, artistic expressions, and even the complex harmonies of Zaraquin music, they sought to convey the beauty and worth of individual existence to an entity that had never known it. Hours stretched into days as they communicated with the void, their ship hovering on the brink of destruction. The strain began to show on the crew, both human and Zaraquin, as they pushed themselves to their mental and physical limits. Just when it seemed they could go on no longer, something miraculous happened. The void began to withdraw, not just from their ship, but from the entire sector of space it had consumed. As stars reignited and planets reformed, the voice of the void echoed one last time through their minds. It spoke of a new understanding, of a desire to explore the galaxy not through consumption, but through cooperation. The bridge erupted in cheers, and the alien equivalent from the Zaraquin. They had done the impossible. They had reasoned with a cosmic horror and emerged victorious. As the horizon limped away from the retreating edge of the void, Sarah looked out at the stars, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration coursing through her. They had saved the galaxy, yes, but more than that, they had expanded the very definition of life and consciousness. "Take us home, Amit," she said softly. "We've got one hell of a story to tell." As the ship turned towards Earth, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, in facing this cosmic threat, had humanity finally found its place in the universe? The journey home would be long, but the future, for humans, Zaraquin, and perhaps even the void itself, was brighter than ever before. Turning the tide. The journey back to Earth was far from uneventful. As the ISS Horizon limped through space, its crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage inflicted by their close encounter with the void. But even as they fixed hull breaches and recalibrated systems, a new challenge emerged: how to explain what they had discovered to the rest of humanity and the galaxy at large. Commander Sarah Chen sat in her quarters, staring at the blank screen before her. How could she possibly put into words the mind-bending reality they had encountered? The void wasn't just a threat to be eliminated, but a cosmic entity capable of growth and change. Their success hadn't come through force, but through communication and understanding. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called out. Dr. Amit Patel stepped inside, looking as exhausted as Sarah felt. "The long-range communicators are back online," he reported. "We're receiving transmissions from Earth." They They want a full report. Sarah sighed, running a hand through her disheveled hair. Of course they do. How do we tell them that we made first contact with a cosmic horror and talked it into being our friend? Amit's lips quirked into a wry smile. Very carefully, I imagine. As they prepared their report, debates raged among the crew. The humans argued for full disclosure, believing that the truth, however strange, was vital for humanity's growth. The Zarquin, still reeling from the near extinction of their species, favored a more cautious approach. In the end, they reached a compromise. They would reveal the nature of the void and the broad strokes of their encounter, but some of the more reality-bending details would be kept classified, at least for now. As their message was beamed across the vast expanse of space towards Earth, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their adventure was far from over. The void had withdrawn, yes, but it was still out there, watching, learning. Weeks passed as they journeyed home. The crew's initial elation at their success gave way to a more somber mood as they grappled with the implications of their discovery. They had saved countless lives, but they had also fundamentally altered humanity's place in the universe. It was Dr. Emma Rossi who first noticed something odd in the long-range sensor data. "Commander," she called out one day, her voice tight with concern. "You need to see this." Sarah hurried to Emma's station, leaning over her shoulder to peer at the readouts. What she saw made her blood run cold. The void was moving again, but not in the destructive pattern they had first encountered. Instead, it seemed to be exploring. "It's following stellar nurseries," Emma explained, pointing to the data. "Areas of new star formation. It's almost like it's curious." The revelation sparked a flurry of activity aboard the Horizon. If the void was exploring rather than consuming, it meant their efforts to communicate had been even more successful than they'd realized. But it also presented a new set of challenges. "We need to establish some kind of protocol," Sarah declared during an emergency meeting with both human and Zarquin crew members. "A way to interact with the void that doesn't risk misunderstanding or accidental destruction." What followed was a frenzy of interdisciplinary collaboration, unlike anything in human or Zarquin history. Linguists worked alongside physicists to develop a universal language based on mathematical constants. Engineers and biologists teamed up to design probes that could withstand the reality warping effects of the void while transmitting data. As they worked, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Humans and Zarquin, once strangers united only by a common threat, now worked seamlessly together, their different perspectives and skills complementing each other perfectly. Their efforts paid off just as they entered the solar system. A new means of communication with the void was established, using a combination of tachyon pulses and quantum entanglement that allowed for near-instantaneous exchange of information across vast distances. As Earth grew larger in their view screen, Sarah felt a mix of emotions wash over her. Pride at what they had accomplished, anxiety about how their discoveries would be received, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility for the future of interstellar relations. The Horizon's return to Earth was met with a hero's welcome. Crowds gathered in every major city to watch the live broadcast of their landing. As Sarah stepped off the ship, flanked by her human crew and their Zarquin allies, she was struck by the sheer magnitude of the moment. In the days that followed, Sarah and her crew briefed world leaders, scientific institutions, and the United Nations on their encounter with the void. The revelation sent shockwaves through human society. Some reacted with fear, calling for increased military spending to defend against potential cosmic threats. Others saw it as an opportunity, a chance for humanity to take its place among the stars as mediators and diplomats to entities beyond their comprehension. The Zarquin, for their part, began the long process of rebuilding their civilization. With the threat of the void no longer looming over them, they turned their advanced technology towards healing their damaged worlds and rescuing survivors from distant colonies. As the dust settled, Sarah found herself standing before the United Nations General Assembly. As she looked out at the sea of faces, human, Zarquin, and holographic representatives from other alien species who had tuned in for this historic moment. She felt the weight of history on her shoulders. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "We have faced the unknown and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened. The void is not our enemy, but a new frontier of understanding. As we move forward, we must do so not with fear, but with wonder and respect for the diversity of life and consciousness in our universe." Her words marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. The lessons learned from their encounter with the void sparked a renaissance in science, philosophy, and interstellar diplomacy. Humanity, once a fledgling species taking its first steps into the cosmos, now stood poised to become a linchpin in galactic affairs. As Sarah concluded her speech, she glanced up at the night sky visible through the assembly's glass dome. Somewhere out there, the void was exploring, learning, growing, and humanity would be there, ready to face whatever new wonders or challenges the universe had in store. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. A new era for humanity. In the years following the Horizon's return, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in its history. The revelation of the void's existence and the role humanity played in communicating with it catapulted human civilization into a new age of discovery and innovation. Sarah Chen, once a starship commander, now found herself at the center of a global initiative to prepare humanity for its new role in the cosmos. The United Earth Space Agency, UESA, was formed, with Sarah at its helm, tasked with coordinating humanity's off-world efforts and managing relations with both the Zarquin and the Void. On a crisp autumn morning, 5 years after their return, Sarah stood at the podium of the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center in Geneva. Before her stretched a sea of faces, human, Zarquin, and holographic representations of a dozen other species that had since made contact with Earth. "Today," Sarah began, her voice steady and clear, "we inaugurate the Cosmic Understanding and Communication Hub, or CUCH. This facility represents the culmination of years of collaboration between humans, Zarquin, and our new allies across the stars. From here, we will continue our dialogue with the Void and expand our understanding of the universe." As she spoke, screens behind her displayed images of the marvels humanity had achieved in the past few years. Colonies on Mars and Europa thrived, their biodomes gleaming under alien skies. Massive space elevators stretched from Earth's equator into orbit, revolutionizing off-world travel and industry. Perhaps most impressive was the image of the Void Interaction Sphere, a colossal space station positioned at the edge of the solar system. This marvel of engineering, built in cooperation with the Zarquin, served as humanity's primary means of studying and communicating with the Void. Our encounter with the Void has taught us that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined, Sarah continued. But it has also shown us that understanding and communication can bridge even the most alien of divides. In the audience, Dr. Amit Patel nodded in agreement. Now the head of UESA's Xenobiology Department, he had been instrumental in decoding the complex patterns of the Void's consciousness. Beside him sat Xylix, the Zarquin scientist who had become Earth's first extraterrestrial ambassador. "We have learned that consciousness itself can take forms we never dreamed possible," Sarah said. "The Void, once perceived as a threat, has become our greatest teacher. Through our interactions, we have gained insights into the very fabric of reality, advancing our understanding of physics, biology, and even philosophy by leaps and bounds." She wasn't exaggerating. The knowledge gained from studying the Void had revolutionized human technology. Gravity manipulation, faster-than-light communication, and even the beginnings of matter-energy conversion were now within humanity's grasp. But with this knowledge comes great responsibility. Sarah's tone grew serious. "We must ensure that these advancements are used for the betterment of all life, not just humanity. Our goal must be the preservation and celebration of diversity across the cosmos."